When I think of a Lexus luxury sedan, the ES is the model that quickly comes to mind. Even though the LS is their flagship and the IS is the more sportier option, the ES has consistently been the brand's bestseller, with Lexus moving around 41,000 units in the US in 2022. Now, since then, the ES has been through several changes, but for 2023, we see a huge software upgrade within the infotainment system, with Lexus's new Lexus Interface software replacing the dated unit. Now, this week, as you can see, Lexus has loaned me this 2023 ES300H F Sport handling package, which means we have the electrified powertrain under the hood offering up to 44 mpg, and with the F Sport handling package, this promises to be a far more dynamic driving ES with styling that's going to appeal to a more younger audience. So if you guys have been looking for an uber luxury sedan and you need something that gets better fuel efficiency than most of the other luxury sedans on the market, how does the brand new 2023 ES300H stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the styling updates that Lexus has made to the ES over the years, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this vehicle. Now, Lexus continues to offer a choice of 3 different powertrains. I've already sampled the base ES250 and the ES350. However, I actually haven't had a chance to show you guys an ES300H, so let's go ahead and talk about what's powering this thing. Now, underneath the hood, which as you can see is held up by struts as opposed to a prop rod, this has the same powertrain as the Toyota Camry Hybrid. So this is kind of in between the 250 and the 350, hence the 300H name. It's in between in terms of power output. However, you have a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine that has 2 electric motors assisting it at the front. This vehicle only comes with front-wheel drive. Just like the Camry Hybrid, you cannot get all-wheel drive on the hybrid version. You can get all-wheel drive, however, if you step down to the ES250, which has this powertrain minus the 2 electric motors. It's paired with an eCVT, a continuously variable transmission, and fuel economy is rated at a very impressive still 43 in the city, 44 on the highway. Regular gas is just recommended. You have about a 13-gallon gas tank on this vehicle, so it is slightly smaller versus the fuel tank in the V6 version, which means you should be able to do theoretically around 580 miles on a full tank, which is very impressive range figures. Now, Lexus claims a 0 to 60 time of 8.1 seconds, which is slow by any car standards, not just luxury car standards. We've got our testing equipment though. We'll see what we can get actually on the real world. This vehicle has a top speed of 112 miles an hour, and in terms of the curb weight, this thing weighs around 3,700 pounds. It is about only 50 pounds heavier versus the V6, but about 200 pounds heavier versus a Camry Hybrid. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and talk about the exterior styling. Now, my tester for an additional $500 is painted in this really nice, attractive shade of silver. I typically don't like silver, but Lexus does a good job of silver. This is called Iridium Metallic, and it pairs really well with the F Sport handling package, which if you guys want to save a little money but you want this look, you can also get the F Sport design package, which is the look of this car minus the adaptive dampers. You can see all ES models come with full LED headlights. My tester for an extra $1,200 has the premium triple beam LED headlights, which have an LED daytime running light, LED turn signals, no fog lights on this model. However, I believe Lexus removed that when they refreshed the car. They technically gave this a refreshed front end back in 2021. You can see the Lexus spindle grille here is bold. It's dominating the front end. You've got the intricate L's that make up the grille that kind of create a mesh finish with some black chrome trim that you see along with the Lexus logo. This has their Lexus Safety System 2.5 as standard. And if you guys prefer a more traditional look with chrome, you can also get the luxury and ultra luxury package, which again gets rid of all of the black mesh trim and the blacked out chrome for shinier pieces. Now, looking around the side profile, you can see this is technically built on the older TNGA-K architecture. It is about the same size as the outgoing or the old Toyota Avalon. So this is bigger than a Camry by about 3 inches at 195.9 inches long. However, if you compare this to the new Toyota Crown, which I haven't shown you guys an updated full review of yet, this is about the same size, but it's about an inch wider, but 4 inches lower in height. This also has a 113-inch long wheelbase, so this is a big sedan. It's a mid-size sedan, which is probably why it sells so well. It has a really big back seat, and it's a good size. Now, the F Sport package includes these 19-inch wheels, which are really attractive looking. They're a gloss black finish. They're wrapped in a 235/40 width tire. You can see the brakes are 12-inch rotors in the front, around 11.9 in the rear. You just have a single piston floating caliper design. This car would look really good with some F-Sport brakes. So I really hope to see Lexus add that for the next generation model with some painted calipers. It looks good with the iridium silver metallic color. You can see there's an F-Sport badge here with the white background to show this is the F-Sport handling package. You have power folding mirrors with a black contrast to them with the integrated turn signals. You can see, surprised to see this isn't blacked out on the window trim. If you guys are looking for a pano roof, it's not available on the hybrid version. Just like on the Camry hybrid, you can't get a pano roof. You can on the ES350, especially if you go for the ultra luxury package, which I kind of wish that Lexus would offer it on the hybrid version as well. You can see, looking around the rest of the side profile, it's got a really attractive shape. In fact, it gives me a lot of LS cues when I see the vehicle from certain angles, especially when you look at the overall length. I mean, obviously the LS is a longer vehicle, but the ES, despite its age, is still a relatively attractive looking car. Now, moving around the rear, you can see you've got their full LED taillight design. The F-Sport model also gives you this body colored rear spoiler, which you can also get on the non-F Sports. You can see you have more of that black chrome or the dark chrome that kind of connects the two headlights together, or taillight modules together. You can see LED turn signals, reverse lights, and brake lights. There's an ES300H badge here that used to have like a blue background. However, Lexus has been removing that along with the blue background in the Lexus badge because Toyota and Lexus have been trying to shy away from differentiating their hybrids with that look. You can see there used to be also an F-Sport badge on the rear. Instead, it's just now on the front, so it's a little bit more subtle. No visible exposed exhaust tips underneath the rear bumper, which is fine. This is the electrified model. I believe you can still get that when you guys go for the 6-cylinder. Now, my tester also has an optional power opening and closing rear trunk, which is definitely nice. You can't get that on the Camry. And in terms of the trunk space, you can see this offers around 14 cubic feet of space, which is actually pretty large, especially by sedan standards. The only downside is that rear seat doesn't fold down. You just have a center pass-through. However, Lexus did upgrade the battery pack of this vehicle to a lithium ion a couple of years ago. That essentially reduced the height of the battery pack by almost 5 inches, which Lexus was then able to give back to you in the trunk capacity. So the old ES had less trunk space if you got the hybrid version. Now it's basically the same whether you go for the hybrid or you go for the gas. So the exterior of the 2023 ES hasn't really changed, but let's go ahead and talk about the interior. The first thing I want to show you guys here is the key fob. You can see this is the current Lexus fob. It also has the key glove that you can buy from the dealer for 25 bucks. It has the F-Sport logo on it. It has your usual lock, unlock, open up the trunk, panic feature, and you also have a remote start from the fob. If you basically just hit the lock button 3 times in sequence, so 1, 2, 3, and then hold it on the 3rd time. You can see you have to keep holding it until you see the lights start to flash. Now, it is a little finicky. As you can see, the lights aren't flashing. There are times where I'm kind of like trying it, but you can activate, there it goes. Now you can activate the remote start from the fob. You have to wait until the lights flash about 3 times to confirm, or you can also access this vehicle through your smartphone. You can see the lights will flash again to start the vehicle up. If you want to also start this vehicle up from your smartphone, which is definitely nice. Now, as I approach the Lexus ES, you can see the door handles are very traditional. You have a pad or a little indentation there where I can lock the car by just touching that. If I want to unlock it, I just touch the back of the door handle, and that will also unlock the door for me. Now, looking at the interior, you can see my tester has the circuit red Nulux leather. So this looks really good with the iridium silver exterior. You can see the door panel also has some nice, beautiful red leather with some red contrasting stitching. You also have some Hadori genuine aluminum trim. So it's on the door, it's on the dashboard. You have an aluminum accented door handle with some really nice trim along the window controls. You can see the windows are also one-touch power for all 4, where you have one touch up and down. They also have a nice high quality feel, which again, that's what people love about Lexus. Down here it is hard touch plastic, but my tester also has the accessory from the dealer where you have the side skirt or the side sills here that illuminate. You also have the aluminum pedals, and these Nulux leather seats adjust in 12 different ways. They are heated and ventilated. You have 3-person memory on the driver's side, which is nice. However, if you guys want even nicer seats, the ultra luxury will include semi-aniline genuine leather. So kind of keep that in mind. Lexus, however, doesn't offer massaging seats on this car. That's something that some competitors offer, although the ES isn't quite as expensive as those European offerings. Now, getting inside, you can see the step-in is low. This is a sedan. That's something that Toyota was really happy about with the Crown, is they raised it up by about 4 inches to give you a better step-in. But as I get in and shut the door, The door thunk doesn't sound quite as solid as I'd like, and it's a little bit tinny if I'm being honest, but again, this is the older TNGA-K architecture. Now, starting the vehicle up, you can see the start-stop button is down here. It is slightly blocked by the steering wheel, but when I start the vehicle up, you can see it has a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel, which is nice. This is also a heated wheel. And then the infotainment system, you can see Lexus technically upgraded the screen in 2021 when they moved it forward and made it a touchscreen. However, for 2023, they now added their latest software. So this is the Lexus interface software. You can see my phone automatically paired up. It's got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto now, which I remember when this car first came out, it didn't even have CarPlay. So it's nice to see Lexus making that huge upgrade. You can see this is really quick and snappy. The graphics are great. Going back to the Lexus display, this is the navigation display. All your usual sources are here. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there is your backup camera. My tester is missing the panoramic view 360 camera. I don't like how it doesn't take up the entire screen. The graphics, however, look like they've been upgraded. It's just a little bit basic when you guys don't go for the full digital or the full 360 camera. My tester also has the 10.8-inch heads-up display for an extra $500. Then you have like this screen here, which has that floating or the tack that also moves. So when I push that button, you can see the tack will move forward and back. They've been using this instrument panel for years. In fact, over a decade now. This was first introduced on the LFA. While it is a cool looking thing how it moves, and if I twist this, you can see it turns white and gives you a tachometer. It's just starting to look a little bit small and dated. So I'm waiting for Lexus to give us an all digital display instrument panel that's like a 12-inch display. Toyota has it, but we haven't seen it in a Lexus product yet, which is really frustrating. Now, the F-Sport model also includes an F-Sport specific steering wheel. It's not a flat bottom design, but you can see it's got the F-Sport logo. It's got a nice thick rim with really high quality leather with contrasting stitching. You also have paddles on the wheel. The horn sounds good. It sounds pretty nondescript, but it doesn't sound puny, which is nice. The materials, you can see soft touch plastic over here on the door panel, leather along this lower portion where you'd rest your elbow. This right here is actually soft leather. I wasn't expecting that over the instrument panel, but if you start poking around everywhere else, you can see this is soft touch injection molded plastic with faux stitching. Same thing over here, which again, the quality in this car is nice. You have some dark finished aluminum trim as well, along with the Hadori aluminum. The one thing this car is missing, however, at night, I noticed it when I was driving it, it doesn't have any ambient interior lighting, which is kind of a missed opportunity considering this is a Lexus. If you guys go for the ultra luxury with the wood trim, Lexus says they do have some ambient lighting, but I don't know what it looks like. I haven't had a chance to see it yet at night, which would be nice to have. I think Lexus should have added that when they refreshed it. You have heated and cooled seats down here. Via hard button, you have a volume knob and a tuning knob. This is the tuning knob. This is the volume knob. You have actual buttons there for the dual zone climate control, which is nice. And then down here, you can see the center console has been redone where you have a little bit of storage here. I find this the perfect spot for my sunglasses. If you slide this open, you can see that's the USB-C, or the C and A charging port, which I like the little door there. It looks nice. You have a very traditional shifter for the eCVT with a sport mode in the shifter as well. You have an EV mode here that you can activate if the battery has enough charge, but it only will give you enough of an electric only, propulsion at very low speeds. That's the hold for the brake hold feature. Your wireless phone charging pad is here. As you can see, you have cup holders, and then you have a nice little padded center console area here with 2 more USB-Cs, a deep center console storage area. The seats themselves also, they hug you really nicely. The heated and cooled function works well. For a fake leather, this also feels really nice, which is great. The glove box, you can see, is damped but not lined with felt. It's relatively good in size. You have an auto-dimming rear view mirror but no digital camera mirror. And you can see there's a traditional sunroof. You can see it tilts open. It also slides open completely, which is nice. But if you're looking for a pano roof, you cannot get that on the hybrid version. Just like on the Camry hybrid, you just have a standard sunroof. On this model here, you can see there's LED map lighting in here. But overall, the interior with this new infotainment software, which you can't get in the IS, definitely makes the ES a far more appealing option in the Lexus sedan family. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat of this vehicle, because the ES, the reason why it's so popular is because it's based off of an Avalon, which means you have around 39.3 inches of legroom back here, which is big. This is more than what you're going to get from some competitors' mid-size luxury sedans, because remember, this is a front drive architecture, so you can have a little bit more interior space. As I get in and shut the door, back here you can see Materials are pretty much the same. You have the same Hadori aluminum trim on the door handles here, padded leather or Nulux leather, the fake leather along the door panels here. Nice high quality controls there. The windows switches back here also feel great. You have 2 storage cubbies. You can see for somebody 5'7", I can get back here and stretch my legs comfortably. I can, you know, cross my legs if I'd like. There is a hump here, which I don't know why it's here, although they do offer an all-wheel drive version on the gas 2.5 engine. You can see there's rear seat air vents. You have 2 more USB-C charging ports, an actual 12-volt power outlet. But what I am noticing what's missing are heated rear seats on the F Sport model. I think they're on the ultra luxury trim, but I'll have to double check that. You can see the seats have this little fold, or there's an armrest here that folds down that gives you 2 cup holders over here, no additional storage. And then you can see here, there's the pass-through, which is good because these rear seats, they don't fold down. You have LED map lighting back here, and the headroom space for somebody my height is actually decent, although if you're over 6 feet, the sunroof is going to take up a little bit of space. So overall, the back seat, definitely usable for full-size adults, but if you are over 6 feet, you might find the headroom to be a little bit lacking, especially when you have that sunroof there taking up the space. So it's crazy to think that it's been about 5 years since Lexus introduced the all-new 7th generation version of the ES back in 2019. While I have had a chance to drive this car several times, I actually haven't had a chance to drive the hybrid for you guys yet. So now that we're in this hybrid with the F Sport handling package, which was new for 2022, the ES got some subtle updates for 2023, mainly around that, the infotainment system. I thought it would be appropriate to show you guys, a full driving impression. This mechanically is similar to the Camry hybrid, which means it's based off of their older tech hybrid tech, which is like in their 4th generation. Now it's in its 5th generation. This car also lacks all-wheel drive, but it does have a smidge more horsepower than the Camry at 215 horsepower, but it also weighs about 200 pounds heavier. So Lexus claims a leisurely 8.1 second 0 to 60 time, but let's go ahead and see what we can get. We're in Sport Plus right now. It's got an eCVT. We'll go ahead and brake torque it. Full throttle, no drama, no wheel spin and no torque steer actually. 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds. Now, for comparison's sakes, that is a smidge, like 0.1 seconds slower than the Camry hybrid that I tested on that same stretch of road about 4 months ago, which was also a 2023 XLE Camry. So the extra power kind of negates the extra weight this car carries around. And 7.3 is a perfectly respectable number. It is almost a second faster than what Lexus claims on their website at 8.1 seconds. So I'll take it. That's a really good time. Now, granted, if you guys want a quicker ES, the V6 should do that same sprint in probably about a second faster. Lexus claims 6.6 seconds, but we know that a Toyota Camry can do it in the 6-second range. I haven't had a chance to fully retest a V6 ES, but let's try it again on this stretch here. Now this stretch is slightly more uphill, but it's just got really smooth linear power, 7.9 here. So again, this is more uphill versus over there where it's more of a level surface. So 7.3 is fine. However, I will say that to put that time into perspective, I just tested the new Toyota Prius Prime, which will do it in 6.6 seconds. The all-wheel drive non-plug-in hybrid Prius will do it in 6.7 seconds. Now that's my preliminary testing. I haven't had those cars for a full week to test just yet. But this car, for most people, you're not going to buy an ES to go racing. You don't do drag racing. And even though, sport luxury sedans or luxury sedans, people demand quick acceleration, the ES has never had that as its main mission. What is this car's main mission is just being a good luxury sedan. And this is where this car continues to shine. Now, we are driving the model with the F Sport handling package, which means we have the adaptive variable suspension with performance dampers. In Sport Plus right now, this is with the car in its firmest setting on 19-inch wheels. It definitely has a firmer ride for an ES. The average ES buyer probably won't like how rough the ride is. However, push this little dial here and put it into normal mode. Surprisingly, there is no comfort mode. There's just a normal or an eco or a custom mode, and along with a Sport and Sport Plus. The dampers definitely soften up, and I feel a difference instantly in the ride quality. The steering also gets a little bit lighter. And the car kind of just floats over bumps. Now, granted, if you guys want the cushiest ES, this is not the model you want. You want the ultra luxury package because you don't necessarily want the bigger 19-inch wheels. You get an 18-inch wheel on that model. There's also some wood trim, potentially a little more sound deadening. This model is supposed to let in a little more noise, a little bit more harshness to kind of give you that amplified feeling of sportiness. But put your foot down here. You can get the front tires to spin a little bit because remember, Lexus doesn't offer all-wheel drive on this car. And the CVT just puts the engine right in the 5,000 RPM range right there to give us the best power. But the cool thing about this car is because of the electric motor, the 2-motor hybrid system, you can essentially take off on electric power alone. This is not a plug-in hybrid though. You can only do that at very low speeds. But it's nice for around town driving if you're stuck in traffic. And if you guys do want to get a little feisty, this car does offer paddle shifters. As you can see, pull the paddle here. It does a pretty decent job at mimicking gears. It's just when you start upshifting, you begin to notice that this is a CVT. So that's not the mission of a CVT, is to have, like, you know, that traditional stepped automatic feel. Lexus does a decent job of mimicking it on a downshift, but on an upshift, you're going to notice it doesn't actually have any real ratios. But put my foot down there, you can feel again the front tires start to slip. I really wish that Lexus would just hurry up and put the Toyota Crown's powertrain in this vehicle. Remember, you can get this car, or this platform, the updated platform, with all-wheel drive and a hybrid system, and it also has around 21 more horsepower versus this car with all-wheel drive in the Toyota Crown, and it's roughly the same price. Now, I haven't had a chance to drive the Toyota Crown on a longer basis. I drove it about 6 months ago in Nashville, but Toyota hasn't had a chance to send me one for a week yet to fully test, but I suspect that model should be a little bit quicker than this car. But, you know, what this vehicle excels at well is just being a Lexus sedan. I mean, this is, for me, probably the best interpretation of a Lexus sedan. I mean, sure, the LS is their flagship vehicle, but it's expensive. Not very many people buy the LS. However, this model here, Lexus still sells around 41,000, or around 40 to 45,000 every year. Even though it's about half the sales that it was at its peak, it's still a really top-selling sedan for Lexus. It's their best-selling sedan that they have. And it's easy to see why. In this mode here in normal, it floats along the road here with very little fuss. It's quiet in here. You don't hear much in terms of wind or road noise. In fact, the road noise is very quiet considering how big this car, or how big the tires are. What you do hear is the engine occasionally, although if you aren't too feisty with the throttle a lot, the engine is a lot smoother than the engine that I experienced in the Camry. I'm not sure how Lexus did that. They probably put more sound deadening around the firewall, for example. And the visibility is good. I can see out of the front, the sides, out of the rear really good. Lexus doesn't offer their digital camera review mirror in this car, which is fine. It's a sedan. You don't necessarily need it. You have good view out of the back. This Lexus Safety System 2.5 is the older system, and it works just fine, although the lane departure alert kind of just will vibrate the steering wheel. You can also change it to beep who you want. It just doesn't feel quite as good at lane centering as the newer system, but that's something to keep in mind because this is their older technology. And in terms of fuel economy, this thing, I've been averaging around 39.5 miles to the gallon in my week's worth of testing. On a full tank, the trip computer was only showing around 450 miles. Theoretically, the EPA says this can do 700 miles on a full tank. However, they have the fuel tank capacity as a typo on their website. It's actually a 13-gallon gas tank, not the 16-gallon gas tank that you get with the V6 version. So kind of keep that in mind, but that's still good for theoretically 580 miles if you can do 44 mpg. I got 39 without really trying very hard, and with the car with more of my aggressive driving style. So overall, this vehicle as a luxury sedan excels. As a sporty sedan, the handling is fine. In Sport Plus mode, you definitely notice the steering is a little bit heavier and it handles decently well for what it is, but the IS is the sedan you want if you want the best handling Lexus sedan. But that's not the purpose of an ES. So I think what Lexus has nailed here is giving the ES a more youthful flair on the outside with the F Sport package. But I think traditional ES buyers are going to be better served with the luxury and ultra luxury versions. Am I glad that Lexus does offer the F Sport package, especially now on the hybrid? Yes, I like the variety of it, but I'll be curious to see what Lexus does for the next generation, which we should be seeing sometime probably in 2025. We're going to see a new Camry first, and then we're going to see a new Lexus ES behind it. Although keep in mind, this car used to be a guzzied up Camry. However, today it's more along the lines of a Toyota Avalon, Toyota Crown. So after spending a full week with the 2023 Lexus ES300H with the F-Sport handling package, for me personally, I think this is the best interpretation of a Lexus sedan. Even though as a driving enthusiast, I would rather drive a Lexus IS. As you guys know, they also offer a V8 powered IS. That's going to be the better handling vehicle. However, this is just the more comfortable car, especially when you guys want to save money at the pump, because without even trying, I was able to get around 39 mpg in this vehicle. For those of you who have lighter foots, you should be able to do that 44 mpg that Lexus is claiming and do well over 500 miles on a full tank. The interior, now that it has the new Lexus interface software, is a huge improvement. Lexus moved the screen forward a couple of years ago. Now they gave us that touchscreen with the wireless CarPlay and Android Auto and over-the-air updates. That software is something you still can't get in the Lexus IS, so kind of keep that in mind. You can get it in the Lexus LS, but that car is large and very expensive. So that's probably the reason why the ES got the software upgrade. But also remember that you can't get that new software in the Toyota Camry as of now. I mean, we're expecting to see a new Toyota Camry show up soon, followed by a new ES. But for those of you who can't wait, or you want the very last model of the current 7th generation version, this is definitely the best version of the ES yet. And after spending some time with the hybrid model, even though this is not as quick as the V6, I mean 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds is respectable. It's sadly slower, however, versus the new Toyota Prius, and slightly slower versus a Camry hybrid. It still offers a decent amount of acceleration with great fuel efficiency. The handling package upgrades, I'm not entirely sure it's worth it for me. Just because you don't buy an ES to go attack your favorite back roads. What I do like is the improved styling of the handling package. I think I would probably just go for the F-Sport design package most likely and skip the adaptive dampers. Or for those of you who want the Pano roof, you can also go to a V6 version and get the ultra luxury version. But you can also get that in this model here where you get the wood, the even nicer semi-aniline leather. The back seat is large, the trunk is big. For this segment, it's just sad that it doesn't fold down. But overall, if you guys are looking to buy an ES, you kind of have an interesting proposition on your hands, because the new Toyota Crown is probably going to be an interesting, rival to this vehicle, because the Crown starts at around $39,900. The ES starts at around $42,800 for the base 250. If you guys want the hybrid powertrain, it's $1,200 more at $43,700. My tester, of course, having the F-Sport handling package, starts at a little over 50 grand, because all those upgrades basically add cost. This is actually about $1,000 more versus an ES350 with the F-Sport handling package. So Lexus actually charges you a little bit more for the hybrid powertrain, even though it's a little bit slower. With the options that my tester has, including the 12-inch display, the extra charge for the paint, the premium triple beam headlights, this model here with destination comes to around $54,970. So nearly 55 grand is expensive. It's about the same price as a Lexus IS 350 F-Sport handling that I tested a few months ago. So really, you kind of have an interesting choice. The ES is going to be the more comfortable, more fuel-efficient option, especially with more space on the inside, with better tech. But the IS, as you guys know, is going to be the better handling and sportier driving vehicle and quicker accelerating car. But it's also going to have the old screen, and it's also going to have a much smaller cabin. So really, the choice is yours. But I do think that the current generation ES is now in its best form yet. So I will be curious to see what the next generation is going to be like. But for around 55 grand, this is still one of the most interesting luxury sedans you can buy. And it's also one of the most comfortable luxury sedans and the most fuel-efficient luxury sedans. Well, with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2023 Lexus ES300H. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.